What if I told you that a single decision by China could send shockwaves through the global military landscape, shaking the very foundation of modern warfare? On August 15th, China imposed strict export controls on a critical material that the United States and other global powers rely on for their most advanced military technologies. This isn't just a trade move, it's a strategic maneuver that could redefine the balance of power worldwide. Stick around as we dive into what this means for global security and why the stakes have never been higher. If you're finding this information eye-opening, make sure to give this video a like and share it with others who need to know what's really happening behind the scenes. Recently, China made a significant move that could disrupt the global military landscape, particularly affecting the United States. On August 15th, China's Ministry of Commerce and the General Administration of Customs announced new export controls on antimony products, including ores, metals, oxides, and other rare compounds. This action effectively imposes a ban on antimony exports to the US, marking a strategic shift in China's control over critical materials. Antimony is crucial in the military sector due to its wide-ranging applications. It's commonly used as a flame retardant in aircrafts, rockets, and missiles. It's also integral to producing military equipment like armor-piercing shells, explosive ordnance, night vision goggles, and even nuclear weapons. The material is especially important for high-performance sensors and infrared seekers, which are vital for guiding missiles accurately. The US heavily relies on China's antimony exports. China is responsible for over 80% of the global supply, making it the world's largest producer. In contrast, the US produces less than 1% of the global supply, highlighting a significant vulnerability in its military supply chain. To address this vulnerability, the US Congress has urged the Pentagon to strengthen its reserves of critical minerals with antimony as a top priority. The House Armed Services Committee also recommended that the Department of Defense develop recycling policies to recover valuable materials like antimony and other rare earth elements. As China's grip on critical materials tightens, countries around the world are scrambling to secure their own supply chains. But what do you think? Could this lead to a new era of geopolitical tension, or is it just another phase in global trade wars? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your perspective on this unfolding situation. Historically, the United States sourced its antimony from a gold mine in Idaho, which closed in 1997. With no active antimony mines in the US, the country is almost entirely dependent on imports. This situation is further complicated by the global decline in antimony ore reserves, which dropped from 2 million tons in 2021 to 1.8 million tons in 2022. China's no export control law is officially aimed at preventing the proliferation of nuclear, biological, and chemical weapons. However, this move can also be seen as a countermeasure against the US, especially in response to Washington's arms sales to Taiwan. The impact of these restrictions extends beyond the US. Japan and other developed countries in Europe have placed antimony on their critical mineral lists, underscoring its strategic importance. China's control over antimony exports could disrupt supply chains not only in the US but globally. While high-tech weapons rely heavily on rare metals and resources, antimony also has vital applications in medicine. For instance, antimony-based drugs are essential for treating leishmaniasis, a parasitic disease. China's new laws could prioritize using its vital resources for life-saving purposes rather than military conflicts. Tensions peaked on August 19th when two Philippine Coast Guard vessels entered Chinese waters in South China Sea without authorization. According to the Chinese Coast Guard, the Philippine ships ignored repeated warnings and deliberately collided with a Chinese vessel. Footage showed that the Philippine vessel number 4410 making dangerous maneuvers, causing damage to both ships. Interestingly, the footage also included American journalists aboard the Philippine vessel, likely due to recent joint exercises between the Philippine Maritime Forces and the U.S. Navy. This incident was condemned by U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan, who reaffirmed the U.S.'s commitment to providing $500 million in military aid to the Philippines. The actions of Philippine Coast Guard and subsequent U.S. support have created new challenges in China-Philippine relations, especially in trade. In the first half of 2023, bilateral trade between China and the Philippines dropped by 10.31%. The tensions between these countries are likely to continue affecting their economic and diplomatic interactions. While the Philippines has taken a confrontational approach, Australia has opted for a more pragmatic stance in its relationship with China. In May 2020, the UK and Australia offered asylum to Hong Kong separatists holding British national overseas passports. However, data from the South China Morning Post revealed low approval rates for asylum applications from Hong Kong in both the UK and Australia. Of 584 reviews in Australia, only 5 were approved, highlighting the difficulty in meeting protection criteria. Recent trends indicate improving relations between China and Australia. On May 2019, China lifted its ban on 5 Australian beef exporters, followed by Chinese Premier Li Qiang's official visit to Australia on June 15th, aiming to expand bilateral cooperation. The diplomatic landscape in Latin America is shifting, with Paraguay reconsidering its ties with Taiwan to pursue trade relations with mainland China. Paraguayan President Santiago Pena faces pressure from domestic agricultural groups to cut diplomatic ties with Taiwan. A United Nations report highlighted that trade between China and Latin America increased 35-fold from 2000 to 2022, reaching nearly $500 billion in 2022. In contrast, Taiwan has provided Paraguay with only $150 million in aid from 2019 to 2023. Paraguay is under pressure to re-evaluate its diplomatic relations with Taiwan due to significant economic opportunities associated with China. Francisco Ordinez, director of Millennium Institute for China and Latin America Studies, noted that Paraguay's relationship with Taiwan cost the country more than 1% of its GDP annually due to missed investments and credits from China. China's cultural influence is also rising, exemplified by the global success of the Chinese video game Black Myth Wukong. Launched globally on August 20th, the game quickly gained massive popularity. Within just 1 hour, it reached over 1 million concurrent players online, surpassing records set by high-profile titles like Cyberpunk 2077 and Elden Ring. The success of Black Myth Wukong has also boosted the Chinese gaming industry. Following the game's release, the stock of the publishing company surged by 40% in just 4 days. From strategic resource controls to rising cultural influence, China is making bold moves on the global stage. These developments are reshaping not just military dynamics, but also the international relations and economic landscapes. If you have enjoyed this deep dive, please consider liking this video, subscribing to the channel and ringing that notification bell so you never miss an update. Your support means a lot and helps us bring you more content like this. Thank you for watching and stay tuned for more insights on the forces shaping our world today.